should become normalized, and all of those things being equal, I absolutely think you should take every opportunity that's given to you to kick the shit out of people in Chelsea shirts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said.
That's
Amen.
yeah.
That's about
nice clean win.
Yeah, it's a brilliant tackle.
Yeah.
But
Richarlison, sorry, Lee, on the shithousing side, I think Richarlison made a massive difference. His energy and his desire to want to rough people up and get in their faces and just inject a bit of urgency and passion into the side, and actual fucking let's go and get at them passion rather than technical ability. Because I do feel that Conte wants us to play with risk, so we try and risk the ball and and try and draw the opposition in. Yeah, and that's our modus operandi. But
it is. Yeah.
But Richarlison yesterday was like, "Fuck that! Just go and hunt the ball. Don't give him any time. Like if someone's got
he
the
was
ball,
a game
fucking
changer.
Run after it.
Rich?
Sorry, Rich.
Yeah. I just wanted to sort of second that. Really, I thought. I've said before, I was really excited when we signed him, because what I love about his game is that he's got this sort of loose unpredictability, and Kane and Son are amazing at what they do, but what they're not is particularly unpredictable. And Chelsea really had their number, well, all three of them, and they had this sort of interchangeable system between their back three that they just nullified everything they did. And as soon as Richarlison came on, it fucked that whole thing up. Not one of them knew where they were supposed to be anymore, and it freed everybody else up. And just his just being on the pitch, whether he was involved in a passage of play, whether he was pulling people out of place, whether he was just standing next to one of them and just getting in their line of sight and just unnerving them and going and then coming back, and we have missed that so much.
Fantastic.
So long.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
If you're looking at that 4 across, I don't think, and I don't know if you, since we last spoke, I got Oderes Facer tattooed on my body.
Nice.
But Cucurella, Jorginho, Conte, and Loftus-Cheek, sadly, as a sum of their parts, they are going to contribute more than Sessegnon, Højbjerg, Royal. It's Betancourt. Great. But you saw the way that they could move the ball, and if they're able to do, especially Conte, how the contributions he made in that iconic Leicester side, to hold the ball up, to distribute, until we have that aspect. As for the shithousing, if I could just say this, it'd be nice, but we don't live in a perfect world.
Yeah.
And the moment we don't, someone else will do that. And look, you remember Mourinho in the All or Nothing going, Zinchenko's on a yellow card, he's on a yellow card. I am sure Pep is telling the same thing. And Harry Winks knew. He said,
and I tell you, when talking about Richarlison as well, where he came on and he was talking about him changing the game. Actually, one of my favourite bits of his shithousing at the end was when he guided Anthony Taylor over and pointed at Tuchel, and then he sent him off. if you've not seen that clip, it's brilliant. He shepherded him over, pointing all the time directly at Tuchel, and Anthony Taylor brings out the red and sends him off.
See that?
How about Bissouma defending Conte from Aspilicueta? He came over. First of all, who is Cesar Aspilicueta to come over to Conte? Fuck off, dude. Yeah. But then to see Bissouma like, no, you don't touch my gaffer, you don't talk to him, you don't even think about him. Game's over, bitch. One point each. Go back to whoever's paying your rent, like later. Yeah. So I like that. And as much as we want to say, and I say it as someone in the public eye who has reaped the whirlwind for public mistakes and nearly lost my career as a result of it, that we could say kids are watching. As much as we want these people to be role models, as a 48-year-old man to look and like, oh, these kids are 23, they're 25. We're talking about players being old at 32. They're men and they're combatants and they're playing a contact sport with little to no protective gear at the highest level in rarefied air. for us to expect, I remember when Raheem Sterling got a machine gun tattooed on his calf. Everybody was up at arms and everybody was so offended. You have to pick your battles, and you're not going to allow someone to abuse you physically or verbally an entire game and just take it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do the last couple of points on this before we move on then, because I'm aware of time here. So do we think that this game has usurped the North London derby now in terms of its temperature? Like it's the
you mean
sort
as a
of
fixture?
As a fixture in terms of its kind of animosity, maybe not so much for the fans, but definitely for the players.
I think they're different, really. They're a bit different. The North London derby is just a traditional game, isn't it? Whereas this game, I feel, has a lot more kind of underlying hatred. I just feel that the Arsenal game is just one that we just want to win. And,
We win that one too. Like, that's when we win sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just call a spade a spade. Like, this has been that Sisyphean task where we come close and then either undo it or just narrowly snatch, victory from the jaws of defeat, as we saw.
Well, exactly. And I think in a way that feels like a win, doesn't it? So, that draw feels like a win.
I think this is more of a it's a bigger derby now, because I feel that the intensity between the two teams is more. Where we feel that we want to compete at the top end a lot more, and Arsenal probably aren't at that level really at the moment. In terms of that, certainly in terms of that desire, I mean, they're still very. It's for them. For me, it just feels like they're very just pretty. It's just this little pretty football that they want to play, and they get excited about the stupidest of little things now, and we really feel that we want to arrive, and arriving means that we want to, Conte's been speaking. They spoke to him recently about and he's going, what do you want to challenge for? And he's going is it Premier League, Champions League? Ha ha ha. He said, well, why are you laughing? Yeah, that's what I want to challenge for. You know what I mean? So he wants us to be up there, which means he doesn't talk about Arsenal. When he talks about top teams, he doesn't go oh yes, it's Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal. He goes, Man City are really a top side, and we need to bridge the gap between them. Liverpool are top side, we need to bridge the gap against them. Chelsea are a top side, they won this blah 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 recently, and we need to bridge the gap against them. He never mentions Arsenal.
No,
Arsenal don't even figure in his his mind.
So last thing, this new Arsenal side at your peril. I'm just going to say it. I think, listen, the first game I ever went to was because of this guy right here, my buddy Clint, who was playing for Spurs at the time, got me tickets to the NLD away. It was when Adebayor scored and then tackled Santi Cazorla and got the red. So I always, I fucking hate Arsenal, but this new side misjudged them at your peril. Martin contributing. Jesus.
I disagree. I think they've not played anyone yet. Yeah. They've not played anyone yet.
I mean, against Palace, they struggled against Palace, actually, in that game. They won it 2-0, but they did struggle.
I can definitely see what Adam's saying. I think I think they look like they're clicking more, and they've got some really good young players. So I do agree somewhat with what Adam's saying, actually. But like you're saying, until they've played a decent side, then we'll get an idea. A bit like us, to be honest, yesterday, where we could see how much we'd close the gap, and by the play, not enough yet. But we still came away with a point. So and on that point, Simon, what do you think? How important a point was that, do you reckon?
Well, I think as ever, right now, we're 2 games in, so who knows? I think it's when we get down to the back end of the season, we will look at that as a point well required. I always feel that there's games where we throw away points and we kind of go, God, we drew there, we should have won that one. We've dropped 2 points, and that's going to cost us a position, or it's going to cost us something or other. I think
we've got 4 more points than we had against those same games last season, for starters.
Exactly. So I think for me, it's kind of like bank. It's in the bank. That's great.
Yeah.
Frankly, if you'd said to most of us okay, but we had a nice game against Southampton, but it's Chelsea. It's always a trouble for us at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea's a tough side. If we come away with a point, cool, let's bank that, move on. We've got Wolves next week. Great. Then we've got Fulham. There's another game in there. I can't remember who it is. Forest. So there's three basically winnable games. So let's bank the point and let's move on.
I'm thinking kind of along the lines of the psychological aspect of it, that, if we'd have lost that game, then we might all be thinking, we didn't play that very well, actually, and we still lost, and there's more to do than we think there is to do, etc. Having come away with that, I think both fan base and the players continue on that kind of crest of a wave that's, of optimism that's around the club at the moment. So I think it's...
To a degree.
I think it feels like it's quite an important point to have got yesterday. Rich, your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to go back to your original question really quickly, it has a bit more personal needle for me than the North London derby because half of my family are Chelsea. So, it has been traditionally, the worst 2 days of the fucking season. I think it's got like the Arsenal thing is almost a bit of a pantomime now, isn't it? At least until the whistle goes and then it turns into the proper thing. But up until and then afterwards, it's often a bit of a pantomime. Whereas we fucking hate them and they fucking hate us when it comes to Chelsea, and that never changes. I've got a lot of Arsenal fan friends who I have a bit of a laugh with about it until the game's on, and I can't do that with the Chelsea lot. No. And I think that's the difference.
And they don't want to either, do they?
They don't want to. They don't have fucking intelligence for humour, do they?
Some of the tweets as well have been absolutely outrageous in terms of the unbelievable racist views, anti-Semitic views. I even saw one today threatening to rape someone and all that. It's just the level of hatred is beyond.
Yeah, the anti-Semitism is just so predictable from them. But why on earth do they think that every Spurs fan is Jewish? It just seems there's no logic to anything that they do in their abuse. It's
I think I know more Jewish Chelsea fans than I probably do Tottenham fans. Certainly all Arsenal ones.
Certainly Arsenal. Yeah, it's true.
But isn't the other thing? And I read this. It was a dissertation that supposedly the whole Yid Army ethos was created by the non-Jewish Tottenham fans in solidarity with the Jewish fans, because Chelsea fans were doing gas chamber noises.
And West Ham.
And falling down, and it was this thing like, you come at one of us, you come at all of us. And also, not for nothing, we didn't have oligarch blood money funding us.
I think it's a really complex area, though. It is such a complex area. The Y word.
So who should we sign?
Yeah, let's get into the next part then. So that what you were saying earlier on, Adam, I tend to agree with that player that could be a sort of Modric type, but we've got 2 weeks to the end of the window. Did that game show that we still need to do some recruitment, or are you all happy? If so, what's your priority, do you think, Adam?
Like I said, someone who's going to be that hinge. I think we have enough really capable defenders. And I personally, I know that the modern game demands wingbacks and contribution from the back line and the high press. We see it with City. We see it with Liverpool. Like I said, tactical fouls have become part of the game. But I think it would be profoundly refreshing to have a back line that stays in place, that protects Hugo, that helps him, and then that hinge that's going to be that link between the front and back, able to hold the ball up, play that good pass, maybe a sideways pass, but hold the ball up and allow, because like you said, if Sessegnon had help, and I agree, I misjudged it, but if he had help, maybe he could have dished it. Maybe he could have had an open shot. So I'm hoping, and I don't know who that player is. Personally, I've been advocating, because Real Madrid, Modric is older. They have plenty of money. They have all this incredible talent, Vinicius and all these guys. I think we should get Luka back. We got Bale back. Why couldn't we get him back?
I suspect that sort of player is not going to play all the time. They're only going to play certain games because of the system we play. Probably we needed, as we said before, more for a team that plays a low block, and we're really struggling to break it down, maybe. So, but anyway, Andy, what do you think? What would your priority be?
So I don't think we will do any more business anyway, but I also think